Welcome, my name is Alicia. Today we are making Nutella cheesecakes, so let's get baking. The first thing we're going to concentrate on is our biscuit base. I have all of our digestive biscuits here and I am going to blend them together to make fine biscuits. So I'm going to crush them up in here. I'm going to have to do it in 2 batches and whiz it all up until they are perfectly fine, almost like fine breadcrumbs. Just like so. So I'm going to pour them into a bowl and move on with my second half. If you haven't got I was going to say whizzer, it's not called a whizzer, blender, a food processor, you can put them into a sandwich bag and crush them with a rolling pin. It's a great way to get some anger out if you need to. So here is our lovely biscuit base. So now we are going to make it chocolatey by adding in some cocoa powder. It is Nutella after all, so we want a good hit of chocolate. And then I also have some melted butter here, which I've melted in the microwave. So we're going to pour all of that on top too. And then give it a good old mix together until it is all coated in butter, making sure that all the biscuits turn nice and chocolatey as well. You could use chocolate digestive biscuits if you want to, but I always make a mess. Okay, perfect. You should see that it's starting to clump together a little bit like that, and that is when it is ready to transfer into our baking tin. So I've got an 8-inch loose bottom tin here. Oh, I've got a rogue biscuit. That won't do. Take that one out. A loose bottom base is going to really help with us getting it out of the tin once it's set. You do not want to be battling with a cheesecake. Trust me. So we're going to press it. Oh my gosh, my whizzer hasn't done very good whizzing, has it? Oh no, that's not one. Panic over. We're just going to make it so it's nice and firm on the bottom. So you'll see that the more you smooth it, the more it starts to compact. But it gets easier and easier the more compacted it is. And that is when you know pretty much there. So then we're going to pop this into the fridge for about 20 minutes just to harden up a little bit. And during that time, we are going to move on to the cheesecake filling. So first off, our double cream. It's so much easier to whip up if it is nice and cold straight out of the fridge. And then we're going to whip this up. I'm using an electric hand mixer. You can do it by hand, but it just takes a while and I do not have the arm muscles for that. We're looking for it to thicken and stiffen up and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. So we're looking for it to be all whipped up and for it to be able to hold its shape just like that. We're now going to add our cream cheese in, and with cream cheese you want to make sure that if it has any water on it, you take all of the water out before you add it to the mixture, because we don't want a watery wet cheesecake mixture. No one wants a watery wet cheesecake mixture. And then we're also going to put in our Nutella at this point, delicious Nutella. And then we're going to mix this really until it's just come together. And then we're going to add in our icing sugar as well. Our icing sugar just helps to stabilize it a little bit. And again, just mix this until it's all come together, just for 30 seconds or so. So now we can just make sure that we've got everything off the sides and the bottom and fully mixed in. Okay, so I'll grab the tin and then we will layer it up. By this point, your biscuit base should be pretty much set. You can test it by if you press your finger into it and it's not really making any indents, then you are good to go. So in terms of putting this mixture into here, I like to do it in layers just to avoid getting loads of air bubbles in it. So I'm going to do it in 2 or 3 layers, literally just put in a big dollop of cheesecake mixture in. I'm going to spread it all over and then I'm just going to tap it a few times, move it around and just make sure that it kind of compacts itself, and it really just helps it so we don't have loads of big air bubbles into the mixture. Repeat the process and then you can do the very top, just smoothing it all out, making sure you've got everything out of the bowl as well. Now I am going to be covering this in more Nutella, so I'm not that bothered about it being completely smooth, but I do want a fairly flat finish just so the Nutella sits nicely on it. So I'm just going to do what I can with the spatula, and then you can grab a palette knife or you can grab a spoon, and it just helps to smoothen it out a little bit more, make sure it's all nice and flat. So now it is time time to wait, unfortunately. We need to let this set in the fridge. I tend to leave it overnight, but it needs really a minimum of 4 hours. So I will see you then, and then we can get decorating and tasting. Okay, it's the next day and the cheesecake is completely set. So we are getting very close to taste test time. First thing we need to do is obviously take it out of the tin. So the easiest way to do this is get a glass, a vase, a jug, anything like that. Pop it on here and very gently just push it down. It'll take a little while, especially if it's been in the fridge overnight, but just be patient with it. Oh. Okay, well now I've got 2 thumbprints in my cheesecake. But we can resolve that. Let's just hope I don't make any more thumbprints. I think that was the hardest one I've ever done. So I've got a little palette knife here, so I'm just gonna go over the edge and just resolve where my thumbprints went. And then around the sides of it, I'm just gonna smooth round to give us a really lovely, clean finish. And then in this bowl, I have some Nutella, which I've heated up slightly in the microwave. You don't want it to be too hot, because obviously it'll melt the cheesecake otherwise. And it's very hot in my kitchen. It's like 26 degrees outside. I've got a white chocolate and raspberry loaf cake in the oven. So it's very, very hot. But we're gonna pour this on top. I'm gonna put loads and loads of it on. And then I'm gonna gently press it around the outside as well. So just swirl it round. And I'm just gonna let it fall down the outside, however it wants to. Almost like a drip, but not very controlled. As you can see, it's just ever so slightly dripping down the outside. And then I've got some roasted hazelnuts here, which I'm gonna use to just decorate around the edge of it as well as a little finishing touch. You could put whipped cream on the top of it. You could do chocolate whipped cream as well. But I just like the simplicity of just decorating it with some hazelnuts on top. And that is our Nutella cheesecake complete. So now it is the best time. It's taste test time. I've got a massive knife for this, which I don't need a massive knife, but it's the one I've got. So let's take a slice out of it. Ta-da! Look at that. So let's give it a taste. You get the really creamy, chocolatey cheesecake mixture with the crunchy biscuit base and packed with Nutella flavour. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another one. Thanks for watching. Bye!